Okay, so this is looking at the question 4, the evaluation question on the 2018 November paper, Sound of Thunder. So on the screen you can see the insert, and the reason why I've left that up there is just to remind you about the fact that you've got the writer's name, who you're going to refer to as Bradbury, and it just tells you where that is. So it's an extract from the middle of a short story published in 1952. So turning over the page of the insert then, this is the section that you've read before for the and looked at for the other questions, and obviously question 3 goes over the whole extract, but the question here says you need to focus this part of your answer on the second part of the source from line 31 to the end. And you can see actually by the numbers that this is line 30, so none of this material goes into your answer. You then look at line 31 to the end, and I'd make sure you read it really carefully. Okay, the question says, a student said, this part of the story, where the men encounter the Tyrannosaurus Rex, shows Eccles is right to panic. The monster is terrifying. And the bullet points invite you to consider your own impressions of Eccles' reaction to the T-Rex, evaluate how the writer describes the monster, and support your response with references to the text. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the two elements of this question. So Eccles is right to panic. So what may or may not mean that he's right or wrong to panic. And the idea of the monster is terrifying. And on the extract question, you are looking for evidence in this text to support or challenge either of those points. And when you find that evidence, referencing methods, so bits of subject terminology, a method is anything the writer has deliberately done to either show that Eccles is right to panic or not, or that the monster is terrifying or not. Okay, you get as well 20 marks for this question. So it's not a short answer. Okay, this is actually worth the same number of marks as all the questions you've done so far, as 1, 2 and 3. So you've got to put the time in planning it. Now, don't jump in and decide if you agree or disagree before you've had a proper read of the material. So, looking at it through, what might you pick up on? Well, it can't be killed, okay? That would mean that something is pretty formidable. If it can't be killed, it's an impossibility. Eccles pronounced this verdict quietly, as if there could be no argument. Well, that shows that he's kind of resigned to his fate, doesn't it? He'd weighed the evidence, and this was his considered opinion. The rifle in his hands seemed like a toy gun. We were fools to come. This is impossible. So if you're just looking at that paragraph, that is actually seems to be saying that, yes, you would be right to panic. They have no choice, really. They can't defeat it. They're idiots. So he's right to panic. The monster is terrifying. Nightmare, turn around, walk quietly. I didn't realise it would be this big. Okay, if we're looking at terrifying, size might be an issue. I miscalculated, I want out. It sees us, there's the red paint on its chest. Now, this is, I think that there's a target drawn on its chest, isn't there, of the ones that are allowed to shoot. Now, you get a description of the T-Rex. So you're looking to see what is making it terrifying, or not. There. Tyrant lizard. If you know what the word tyrant means, you can look at the connotations of that word. Raised itself, its armoured flesh glittered like 1,000 green coins. And again, look at that technique. What does that mean? It's looking like it's made out of. Is it natural or unnatural? And is that going to make it better or worse? Then you get this idea, the coin's crusted with slime, steamed. You might want to pick that up. Is this making it terrifying? What methods are being used to make it terrifying? In the slime, tiny insects wriggled. The entire body seemed to twitch and undulate, even while the monster itself did not move. So you've got something, the flesh of which is looking like it's writhing. And actually, if you've got something that is twitching, and the word undulate means to kind of go up and down. If you think of something under the skin, kind of that you can start to see moving round, it's that kind of up and down movement. What would happen if you're seeing something that's covered in insects, that's twitching and undulating? What the connotations of the word twitch? It exhaled all the time. So it's not actually seeming at all like anything you can reason with. The stink of raw flesh blew down the wilderness. That is quite a useful paragraph if you're trying to look at the monster is terrifying. And because it's evaluation, you're using it to support that statement. Bradbury's use of the simile shows the monster is terrifying because. Okay? So Eccles then wants to get out and look at his reaction there. The idea is he right to panic? That sentence. This sentence. So here's the use of dialogue. But more than just pointing out that it's dialogue, you need to point out actually what's being said and how it links in to that statement. You could then look at his numbness. What technique is that combined with that? What are these saying about his reaction or his prowess, his power compared to the monster? And would it make him right to panic? Then look at what it's now called, in fact. It's no longer a dinosaur. Look at that choice of verb. That phrase. Is that terrifying? Look at how the guns are portrayed as reacting to it. It's not the men holding the rifles, it's the rifles, and they blaze fire. Is that a response to a terrifying monster? A windstorm from the beast's mouth engulfed them. Okay, beast, monster. Look at Bradbury's terms. Look at the word engulfed. Stench, slime, old blood, implications, connotations, onomatopoeia, that idea, repeated, shriek, lizard thunder. You've got this monster generating its own weather. How powerful is it if it's actually having that effect? And if it's powerful, is it terrifying? Look at the effect it's having as it lashes. Trees exploded in clouds of leaf and branch. The monster twitches its jeweler's hands down to fondle at the men, to twist them in half, crush them. Look at the listing in that sentence. What's the cumulative effect of all of those images? Not just it creates a cumulative effect, but the series of images of creates the cumulative effect of. It's boulder, stone, eyes. Are they merciful? Are they something that you can reason with? Metal, blazing, black iris. And then like a stone idol, like a mountain avalanche, Tyrannosaurus fell. Now, that particular bit, when you get to it, is interesting because the monster is terrifying. Does that detract, add to, or is it just a kind of final thing that, despite everything, falls down? So then, look at the kind of thing you're going to say and try and group things into patterns. Try and actually come up with your annotation, having some degree of planning in terms of how is dialogue used, how is Eccles used, how is the description used. Within the description, you've got onomatopoeia, you've got listing, you've got the semantic field of corruption and decay. You've got imagery relating to armour and metal and defence. You've got the idea of the creature creating its own weather. You've got the reaction of the guns and what happens. You've got this really weird little thing, twitched its jeweler's hands down to fondle at the men. And if you think of a T-Rex with its very short arms, it's doing that kind of ineffectual kind of stereotypical T-Rex thing, trying to get them. But does it make it any more scary or any less scary looking at what it's doing? Anyway, when you've got that kind of material together, then you're ready to start writing. I would try and make sure that you've done enough for 20 marks, so you're trying to work on between 3.5 and 4 pages of your answer booklet, regular size writing.